Hi everyone, welcome back to Faith in Flour. I'm Robin, and today's video is all about our family's favorite frugal living tips. Going back to the beginning, when Patrick and I were first married, we were pretty much right out of college, starting new careers and not making a lot of money. Within about a year or so of our marriage, we found out we were pregnant with our first son, who turned out to have special needs. So while that posed lots of challenges for our family, it really helped us get our priorities straight and set up our finances in a way that would really pay off for our future. So my husband Patrick is quite a saver and really savvy with the finances, and I was more the spender. So I had to learn these lessons, and of course it was easy to do because it was necessary. But we have taken a lot of these things into our future when we had the means to spend money more frivolously, but chose not to, and it continues to pay off. So with the idea that we were going to need to save for our son as well as for our futures, for our kids' college, our retirement, all of that, we were putting money aside early on. And I'm not going to get into the financial side of that about budgeting and debt-free living and all of that, but I've got some great resources for you down in the description box, so definitely check those out. But today I'm just going to give you some simple tips for everyday living that should benefit your family like it has ours. This tip may seem a little counterintuitive when you're thinking about frugal living, but we feel pretty strongly that you should buy the best quality you can and then just use it up. And by best quality, I don't necessarily mean most expensive. So research whatever it is that you are thinking of purchasing. Make sure that it's a real need and not just a want. And then make sure that it is something that you are committed to using until it's finished. For example, my car that I drive now is a 2003 Toyota 4Runner. So it's almost 18 years old. We bought that car when my kids were small, and we've made a few repairs along the way. Patrick researched that pretty thoroughly to make sure that we were investing in a car that had a history of longevity. So it has paid off. And of course, there are things that could happen along the way. We could have had an accident that might not have even been our fault and the car would be totaled. Of course, those things are out of our control, but we've been fortunate, and I think I'm a pretty good driver. So the car has lasted, and like I said, we've made a few repairs, and we had to weigh those things. Is that worth it to put that money into a car, that's this old? But it has paid off, and it's been so worth it. And the funny thing is that I continue to treat that car like it's a new car. So I still look for parking spots where I'm not gonna get door dinks, and we wash it ourselves regularly and clean the inside, and it's actually looking pretty worn out on the inside, but the outside looks great. And the most important thing is it does the job. It gets us from point A to point B, and that's what a car is really for. Another example is my 10-item wardrobe. And that's a minimalist capsule wardrobe concept that was created by Jennifer L. Scott over at the YouTube channel, The Daily Connoisseur. I will have my whole playlist down in the description box if you want to delve into that. But what I love about it is the idea of quality over quantity. So when I purchase clothing, I'm on the lookout for pieces that are good quality, and again, not always expensive, but something that I can tell was manufactured well, that's going to stand the test of time, lots of washings, and usually more classic pieces that I know I'm going to enjoy wearing in future seasons. So if you want to know more about that, definitely check out those videos, but it's been a great way for me to save money on my clothing budget. Do it yourself whenever possible. So of course, sometimes it pays to call in the experts, but for the most part, you can learn a new skill by watching a YouTube video and making a simple repair at home, learning how to do interior painting or any other number of things. We have refinished furniture. We do our own lawn work. We have done our own power washing. I do my own manicures and pedicures. There are so many things that we can do on our own, and once we've learned these skills and perfect them, sometimes we can even do a better job than the experts. Unless you have a repair that's completely out of your scope, investigate what it would take to do it on your own. Our son has an interest in cars and has taught himself a lot about mechanical repairs, and he recently helped us with a repair on my car that extended the life of my car and saved us a ton of money. So there's almost nothing that you can't do if you have the time and the will. So investigate those things and see what you can do on your own. Changing our shopping habits. That's been a big one. That started, right at the beginning of our marriage with identifying needs over wants. And that's a tough one. And there are a lot of things you can do to make that easier on yourself. I know when I was younger, one of my favorite pastimes was to go out with my girlfriends or my mom and my sister and window shop. Maybe that's not something that's so popular anymore, but there's an online version that's just as bad. So when you're looking for some way to fill your time or entertain yourself and you go online and, window shop, you're just opening the doors of temptation. And so I sort of got out of that slowly, and it wasn't necessarily a conscious choice I made from the beginning. When I got married, I wasn't living near my sister and my mom or even most of my girlfriends anymore. And because I was working, I didn't have the time to devote to doing that with family and friends. So, it was kind of taking it down a notch little by little. And then I had boys, and of course, they're not interested in shopping. Shopping became something that wasn't a fun pastime anymore, but it's still tempting to me today to get online and sort of peruse all of the different shops that I like. And when I do that, I am definitely tempted to buy something that I wouldn't have been tempted otherwise. And so now when I go online to shop or I go to a store, I try to go with intent and purpose. And so I already know I have a space in my wardrobe that I need to fill, and I've got some basic criteria about what I'm looking for. So my head's not going to be turned, this way and that by things that I hadn't already decided on ahead of time. Of course, this concept works for everything from, grocery shopping to just about anything else. And I think that when we're intentional when we shop, it makes a huge difference. So sort of any way that you can avoid that temptation and impulse buys are great. Because of the pandemic, our local grocery store now offers curbside pickup, so I can shop online and it's free. So I've been taking advantage of that more and more because I realized it helps me. It saves me time, but it also saves me money because I'm eliminating a lot of impulse buys that used to occur when I went inside the store. Now, I still do go in the store to pick out my own produce and things like that once in a while, but when I can cut down on the opportunities where I'm tempted, it really helps. Also, when it comes to shopping, we try to research things as much as possible before we buy. And this is pretty easy to do as well. Most websites have reviews, and so you can read about things. And I know usually there are more negative reviews than positive ones, but you can see a reoccurring trend in something. So if you were, say, looking for a new refrigerator, you would quickly see the same thing being repeated over and over in the reviews, and you would know that that refrigerator probably has a problem in that area. Also, see if you can get the lowest price. Take a little time to check out different websites that offer that product and get your lowest price. Also, look for discount codes. When you shop, be intentional in all areas, and this will really help you save money. I've mentioned this before, and I know this is something that's probably not new to you, but we also look for ways to avoid buying something. So I almost never buy books anymore because we have a great library and I can find almost all of the books that I want to read there. Yes, sometimes I have to get on a waiting list. I can't have it immediately, but it's usually really worth it. And it not only saves us money, but it also keeps me from accumulating things in our home that we're just gonna have to declutter later. Our library is also really good for things like magazines, audiobooks, and DVDs. So we have no excuse to buy any of those things anymore because we can get them from our local library. Eating out is a huge one. I know that not everybody loves to cook, but if you can learn some basic cooking skills to feed your family most nights of the week, it will really save you a ton of money and it's a lot healthier. Patrick came up with a formula that has really worked for us, and it's taking your age, divide by 10, and that's the number of times that you should eat out each month. So when you're young, you just eat out a couple of times a month, and you sort of increase that as you get older and you start earning a little bit more and you start treating yourself a little bit. We love Dave Ramsey, and one of his mottos is live like no one else so you can live like no one else. So that's hard when you're young and everyone around you is going out to eat and going to the movies and all of these sorts of things, and you're choosing not to. You're actually saying yes to being able to do more of those things in the future when you have the money to spend because you've saved it now. Along those same lines, we have searched out ways to entertain our family for free. So there are so many things you can do, especially outdoor activities like taking a hike or a bike ride together, playing tennis at the local high school or recreation area. There are just endless possibilities. There are even free museums in a lot of towns and cities. So research those things out and go explore. It can be so much fun, and lots of times those activities are much more rewarding than doing something like going to the movies, for example. So while we're on the subject of movies, that has become a very pricey family activity and one that we decided to abstain from for the most part. So we did see movies occasionally. If there was something really special that one of the kids wanted to see, we would do that. And we would usually go to a matinee where the price was reduced over the weekend. That was easy to do and a quick way to save money. But most of the time we saved our movie outing to just one time a year, and that was usually at Thanksgiving. So this became a family tradition where we would see a movie on the Friday after Thanksgiving. Usually there was something interesting out in the theaters at that time that our kids really wanted to see. So they looked forward to that, and it became a really fun family tradition. We were able to enjoy that activity without overindulging, and we saved a lot of money over the years. Let's talk about coffee. Going out for a cup of coffee is a fun activity, I agree, but I almost never do that unless I have a gift card, and I have received a few, and I'm happy to go spend those. It is a lot of fun. The coffee's great, and I can see how people get sucked into sort of adding that to their routine as they drop their kids off at school, swinging by Starbucks to pick up a coffee. And it doesn't seem like much, but it adds up over time really fast. It isn't hard to make good coffee at home. It's better to invest in a good coffee maker and enjoy your coffee at home. That will definitely pay off over time. We even have an espresso machine that I got at a Goodwill for $7 that we use only on the weekends. And the reason why is because that makes an excellent cup of coffee. But they have individual capsules that are a little pricey, and so we just save that indulgence for the weekends. And again, because we don't make it an everyday thing, it's extra special. And I have to back up and tell you the story about how I acquired the Nespresso machine, because it's another sort of frugal tip. So my husband had a knee injury and he was going to need to be on crutches for several weeks. When we found out how much they were charging our insurance company for those crutches, we thought, this is ridiculous. And my husband asked me to go by Goodwill and see if I could find some. And sure enough, they had several pairs of crutches that were brand new, just like what we would receive from the hospital. I was able to pick them up for next to nothing. And while I was there, I decided to peruse the store just to see what kinds of things were in there. And I came across that Nespresso machine. And I thought, how could this be here for sale for $7? It must not work. Well, it worked. And it's still working. And so definitely someone's trash is someone else's treasure. That's true. I think looking for things at a Goodwill store, even though I don't do it as often as maybe I should, is a great tip too. We now have an espresso machine that we didn't pay much for. It makes coffee just as good, if not better, than any Starbucks I've been to. And we indulge in that only on the weekends. And it's something that we look forward to and really enjoy when we have it. Home decor. This one is hard for so many of us. And I'll admit that early on in our marriage, this was a tough one because I wanted our home to be beautiful. I still do. But I have learned that a lot of decor, especially seasonal decor, is really just clutter. And so once I sort of shifted my thinking on that, I actually enjoy a lot less. And so that saves us a lot of money, of course, because these trends are always changing. And that is by design because the companies that manufacture those things have a vested interest in keeping you coming back and buying more and more each new season when they come out with everything new. There are a ton of YouTubers that I love to watch that are really gifted in decorating their homes, and I think it's beautiful. But I don't think that it serves my family. And to be truthful, I don't enjoy it myself anymore in our home because that clutter has to be dealt with in a number of different ways. So if I have my surfaces and walls covered with a lot of decor, that means I've got more to dust, more to move when I'm cleaning. And I have learned that simple is just better for us. It's better for our finances, and it's just a time saver too. So that said, if you love decor, I would just try to really be mindful about how you are spending in that area and eliminate temptation as much as possible, like I mentioned before, and just be more content with the things that you have. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do any decorating. I just think that we need to be content with whatever we choose for longer periods of time. For example, in our master bedroom, we just have 2 decorative pillows. I think they look great. It's not over the top. I don't have to move a ton of pillows at night when we go to bed or put back and arrange a ton of pillows in the morning, but it's just enough to make the room look nice and polished. And I'm also happy to live with that for a number of years. Now, one day I might decide that I really need to change the decor in there just to freshen it up, bring in some new colors, or if the look we have now is really dated, I understand that. But changing everything up every season or whenever you see someone else has something new that you love really isn't serving your family, because all of that is not going to count for anything later in life. When you retire and you look back, you're not going to wish that you had more decor or anything like that. So just be really mindful when it comes to home decor. Really, the best piece of advice I can give you today is to start taking steps towards becoming debt-free. So stop accumulating debt, figure out how to pay down the debt that you already have, and then start living a life that is completely free of debt. So we subscribe to almost everything that Dave Ramsey says. He has great steps for how to get out of debt, how to budget your money, and how to make sure that you remain debt-free once you've achieved that. So I'm going to have his link down in the description box. And there's also a guy called Rob Berger that my husband has really been loving his videos lately. He's here on YouTube as well, and he gives a lot of simple investment advice. So once you reach the point where you've saved a lot of money and you need to learn how to invest that wisely, that will be a great resource for you too. So I hope that these tips are going to get you on the right track towards not only debt-free living, but just knowing that you are making steps right now that are going to benefit you in the future, that you're not frivolously spending your money when you could be saving in a way that's going to benefit you so much more in the future. Thank you for spending your time with me here today. I really appreciate it. I look forward to talking with you in the comments, and of course, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a wonderful week.